Yo, I just have some thoughts that I need to share about this upcoming event on Saturday. Best card of the year, UFC 296. But, I mean, I just finished watching UFC Embedded episode 3. My thoughts on these fights are some of these people are fighters. Some of these people who are fighting on the card are fighters. They just show up to fight, make money, and that's it. But some of these people are just killers. I mean, in order to be a champion, except for an absolute fluke, you have to have that. You have to have that monster in you. You have to have that monster in you, and you got to be able to let it out in the cage. I don't care how good of a person you are. You got to find those demons inside of you and fucking let them out when you're fighting. And if you don't have those, you will not be a champion. You will not be a sustained top contender or champion in the UFC or anywhere, man. And pending an absolute fluke. And you know what I'm about to say when I'm saying fluke? Leon Edwards, he is champion because of a complete fluke head kick when he was getting dominated for 5 rounds. That head kick, he's the biggest fluke champion that I've ever seen in my life. Look, he's a good fighter, but like I said, he's not a killer. He's not a dog in there. He really doesn't have that side to him that can be just an absolute demon when he needs to be. He's not hungry, and Colby is. Colby's gonna take that belt off his waist pretty easily. That really has nothing to do with the skill. It has everything to do with the hunger, and like I said, those demons, man. People are gonna say, "Oh, Leon beat Kamaru twice, and Colby lost to Usman twice." Well, we're talking about Colby lost to pre-head kick Usman, and the reason Leon's a fluke is because that head kick was an absolute fluke. Usman dropped his right hand for 1 second. Leon landed a perfect head kick, good for him. Knocked him clean out. Okay? And then, he fought him for another 25 minutes and won a decision. Yeah, after that head kick, Usman was not the same dude, and that was proven by the fight with Leon. He didn't look the same. And then, I know it was a short camp, but he got dominated by Hamzat. I mean, you've never seen someone be able to do that to Usman. Hamzat literally sat on his back for 5 minutes when most people wouldn't even be able to take him down. I mean, so forget about Usman. Look at Leon. That guy, all he does is he just has a bunch of yes men around him, and he's just there. He's just there. He doesn't have that dog in him. He's just there training in this episode, and every single person around him is just clapping, and all he's doing is just punching a bag, and everyone just clapping, yeah, let's go. He's sensitive, and he doesn't have that dog in him that Colby does. Colby's gonna kill him. I truly do believe that, man. Colby is destined to win this fight. Leon just, this whole conflict is going on with Leon and Ian Gary, where Leon apparently, Ian Gary's saying he got kicked out of Leon's gym because Leon is sensitive, and Leon just is too sensitive. Leon kind of refuted that. I know people hate Ian Gary, including me. I don't really like him, but there's probably some truth to that. I mean, I think you can kind of just tell by the way he talks, the way he carries himself. This guy's a good fighter, man, good skill-wise, but he's not a killer. And you need to be a killer in order to be a champion, like I've been saying. I mean, recently, you saw Sean Strickland go in there and beat Adesanya when he was such a huge underdog, even more of an underdog than Colby is. But Strickland's one of those guys that just has that, he can just flip a switch. And, when he gets in that cage, he finds that, those demons, and he, lets them out. Leon doesn't have those. Leon's just very, very soft and weak. And sure, I mean, I think Colby will break him mentally in the press conference and go in there or win a pretty easy fight. People talk about Colby's age. Sure, he's younger. 35 is not young. I don't care what you say. Or 35 is not old. I don't care what you say. 35 is not old. I mean, maybe like Colby ideally would have, like, in his career, he didn't see himself become a champion at 35 for the first time. And I thought he might have got robbed against Usman in the second fight because that might have been an early stoppage. I don't know. And if that went to decision, I think Colby might have won. But either way, there's no excuses in this sport. It's not just about the skills. That's all I'm trying to say. It's not just about skills. It's about mentality. And I think, obviously, like when the skills are pretty much even, which I see like Colby and Leon, in terms of like their skill level, they're just about even. Maybe Leon has a slight edge, but Colby has a huge edge in the mentality. Same thing with Pantoja and Royval. I mean, Pantoja's a better fighter. Like Pantoja, I think that's going to be the theme of this entire press conference, this entire fight week, this entire fight card. Is just like you're putting up guys against each other who are like all very, very, very good fighters. But who's going to win that mental battle to be able to go in there and like the other guy just doesn't have enough confidence to win the fight, and this guy just turns into a monster and beats him? You know? Like, who's going to be the tougher guy, the stronger person mentally? I think that's going to be the difference in all these fights. So give me Colby. Give me Pantoja. I don't think Royval is that monster, dude. I mean, he's a nice guy. And sure, there are nice guys who can go in there and turn into monsters too. Like Shavkat, for example, right? But Royval's not that kind of guy. And Pantoja, I don't even like Pantoja because he's not even like a good dude. He's just a fighter, and like he's a monster. So it's like, in all these fights that are coming up, I see one guy on one side who's just an absolute monster, and then on the other side, a guy who's just sensitive and can be broken and does not have that monster in him. And that is going to determine who I pick in all these fights. So just thinking about the main card, that's really the theme, I think. So Colby, Pantoja, Shavkat. Right, I got Shavkat beating Stephen Thompson. Stephen Thompson, nicest guy ever, and he's the best representative of karate in mixed martial arts. And I will stand by that. He's such a skilled fighter. He has all the skill in the world. But he doesn't turn into that monster. It's like when he goes in there and fights, it's like he's sparring karate. It's like he's not trying to go out there and kill you. He's trying to go out there and show off his karate moves and just like beat you that way technically. It has nothing, like, it's, I'm not trying to take away from the skill of any of these fighters. It's just the person who lets those demons out, turns into that monster in the cage when the skills are even, is gonna beat that person who doesn't do that 9 out of 10 times. Give me Colby, give me Pantoja. Stephen Thompson doesn't have that team. But Shavkat goes in there, and he was comfortable. This is the one thing that you need to see, right? Just go back and watch the Neal fight, Neal versus Rakhmonov. Shavkat was comfortably winning. He was going to win a 30-27 decision if he just sat back and coasted. But this guy had 17. He was, at the time, I think, 17-0. Right now he was 16-0 with 16 finishes. And now he's 17-0 with 17 finishes. He wanted that finish against Neal. So he could have just sat back, got the decision, got the points, and won. But he wanted the finish so badly because he's a demon, man. And like, Stephen Thompson is not ready for what's coming his way. There is no chance that Stephen Thompson wins this fight. And the odds reflect that. I looked, Shavkat's minus 750. I mean, that's pretty crazy. Like, don't bet on that because it's fighting, and like, sure, like Leon beat Usman with a head kick. Maybe Thompson lands like a spinning back kick spinning like, whatever, some crazy karate shit. But then, other than that, I think Shavkat's just going to probably take him down and submit him in the first round because he's hungry. He's got that dog in him. Moving on to the next fight, I see the exact same thing. And then this is an interesting one. If Ian Gary does not get mentally, if we do not see Ian Gary get destroyed at the press conference, which we might see Ian Gary get destroyed at the press conference and just completely lose it and just break down mentally. If we see that, then the fight, I think, evens out with Luque. If he's not in that right place mentally, Luque will have a good shot. But if Gary, assuming he even goes to the press conference, if he can keep his composure in the press conference, doesn't let probably Colby's going to attack him, maybe Edwards, maybe Pimblett, maybe Ferguson, maybe Bryce, I don't even know if Bryce Mitchell and Josh Emmett are going to be there. Probably not. I think we see at least Colby will go after Gary just for fun. But if Ian Gary can keep his composure, if Ian Gary goes into the fight with Luque with the right mentality, he will destroy Luque. Like, he'll just destroy him. Not the same way he destroyed Neil Magny. Luque is a different fighter. But, I mean, he's going to go in there and win pretty easily, I think. Ian Gary, I don't really, like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of him, but he is just he's just a really, really good fighter. And everyone who talks shit about him, no one is going to deny that he's a great fighter. Everyone's going to say, say what you want about his personality, about his hypocrisy. He's a great fighter. And as much as I wish he kind of, I think one of these days he's going to get chinned. We saw him get chinned against Song Kanan. I think it's going to happen within the next 3 fights. Could happen against Luque, but I don't think it will. Maybe pre-Geoff Neal Luque before the brain hemorrhage, but post that, give me Gary by domination if he's in the right headspace. Because Gary is that dog. Luque, I just don't really see it. He's a lot more cautious, a lot more tentative and sensitive after that Neal brain hemorrhage, which you can understand why, but again, it's all about that mentality. The fifth and final fight, it would be the first, I think it's going to be the first fight, is Paddy versus Tony. And again, you have two guys, like you have a guy named Paddy Pimblett, who again is favored, pretty heavy favorite, You want to talk about skill, they're about even. You want to say Paddy wins? Okay. Where does he win? He wins how, though? He wins striking, but I don't think his striking is at the level of Ferguson. Maybe it's a little bit, but it's not going to be this huge, massive difference on the feet. And wrestling, you're telling me he's going to go dominate Tony with wrestling? That's not going to happen. So either he knocks Tony out, he chins him and knocks him out, or what? He wins by if Paddy doesn't keep his hands up, Tony will chin him first. And Paddy does not keep his hands up. So just in terms of skill, I think Tony's massively underrated in this fight. But in terms of mentality, Paddy Pimblett is a sensitive guy. We saw him be sensitive against Ilya Topuria in that press conference. He received a lot of backlash not for his performance against Jared Gordon, for his reaction to his performance against Jared Gordon, where it should have been a razor-thin decision. It was a razor-thin fight. Really probably should have gone to Jared Gordon, but could have gone either way. It's one of those fights where when I watched it, I thought Jared Gordon won, and I was pissed. And then I rewatched it, and I thought, when Paddy gets punched, it looks a lot more exaggerated because of his hair. But, You could still give it to Jared Gordon. You could still give it to Patty, though, maybe. I don't know. All I know is people thought that was a close fight, and he got really upset that people thought that it was even a close fight. Tony Ferguson is not a sensitive guy at all. Tony Ferguson is like, he's one of those guys who lets that monster go. And it looks like Patty is just that guy. Sure, he's good at jiu-jitsu, but he's like that kind of guy who just like, he isn't there to kill motherfuckers. He's there just to fight he's there just to fight. I don't think he's there to kill people. The way that Shavkat, Colby, Pantoja, and Gary. You see the way that Ian Gary kicked Neil Magny's legs? Like he wanted to break both of Neil Magny's legs. He told him keep getting up just so he could just continue to pound his leg. I think Patty's there to have fun. But Tony Ferguson is there, and he doesn't quit. He's not going to quit. Even if Patty chins him, Tony is not going to quit. But Patty has gotten lucky in his career with these wins. He's never really faced adversity. I mean, the first time I thought he was going to face adversity was against Jordan Levitt, who's... Say what you will about Jordan Levitt, but he's a very good grappler. And the reason he got subbed by Patty is because Patty got him in a rear naked choke, and he got the body triangle, but the body triangle trapped one of Jordan Levitt's arms. So Jordan Levitt was in a rear naked choke, and he could only defend it with one arm, and obviously that's easy, even for a white belt to do if you get that. But and Jordan Levitt gets his back taken a lot, but I don't know. I mean, Patty subbed. Who else did he sub? I don't know. How did Patty win? Patty beats... Oh, yeah, Jared Gordon. I don't even know if he subbed anyone else. I don't know. It's like he hasn't really ever faced... I mean, the adversity that Patty's faced is getting chinned in his first fight in the Apex. He got absolutely chinned. Go rewatch that. He got chinned by this dude named Luigi, who's not in the UFC anymore. Caught him with a left hand that would have knocked most people out. I don't know how Patty stayed up from that, but Patty did get like rocked a couple times versus Jared Gordon. They're worth watching. It's funny watching Patty get rocked because his hair moves so much, so it looks so exaggerated. But I think in terms of mentality, like the skill in all these fights is like pretty close, but it's like who can let that monster out, who can let those demons out. The mentality is going to separate it. I got Tony winning the fight. I got Gary winning the fight unless he just has a mental breakdown. And then I don't know. But I got Tony, Gary, Shavkat, Pantoja, Covington. Those are my main card picks. I didn't really look at the undercard, even though there are a lot of good fights in the undercard. Probably got Bryce Mitchell by decision or submission. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I mean, the Cody Garbrandt fight's going to be interesting. We'll see. We'll see after the layoff how he still is. I could see him getting knocked out, though. I could also see him knocking the guy out. That's going to be a fun fight to watch, just as a fan, seeing Garbrandt come back. Then you got multiple ranked guys in the early prelims, which you will never see that again. Like Alonzo Menifield, the guy who beat Jimmy Crute. He's fighting Justin Jacoby. That could be a good fight. That could be a decent fight. I don't know. Some women that I don't pay attention to women, but I really got no predictions other than that. I got those 5. That's my pick. I'm gonna be watching, and who do I want to win really isn't important. But that's who I think will win. And just for the record, I don't want Ian Gary to win. I don't know about the other fights. I mean, the other fights, maybe I want those guys to win, but I don't want Ian Gary to win, and I think he will. You know what? Those are my 5 predictions. This video is getting way too long. Enjoy the card. Just enjoy the card. It's going to be a great card.